Hello and welcome to Ask Deb About Business. I'm Rom Gayoso, co-host. We are broadcasting via Futures Television, the home of the future on television. If you're listening to the show via podcast or watching us on TV, you too can be part of the conversation. Just visit our YouTube channel, that is IMCI Magazine, where we continue to chat about the topic of the day. You can also access this information on our website, and that is www.futurestelevision.com. So don't be shy. Today, our topic is TikTok for business. Say what? Yeah, seriously. It is one of the many social media platforms out there, and it does indeed get a lot of eyeballs. So the question is, can you make it work for your business? And that is what we're here to find out. I don't know anything about TikTok, but thankfully, I know someone who does. So let me say a few words about the show. Broadcasting live from Chicagoland to the world, today is the first Ask Deb about business. In this talk show, I joined Deb Dietz to discuss a variety of business topics. Say you're creating a strategic plan for that microbrewery you're opening in Milwaukee, or you just graduated from Vernon Hills High School and you're opening a food truck business with your mates, or you wonder, is TikTok right for you? So, no matter what your venture is, you will certainly have questions. Worry no more. Now you have someone to talk to. So let me say a few words about Deb. Oh, righty. So Deb has a long and distinguished career as a coach, mentor, and through her awesome training programs at SMB Digital Education. She has enabled many entrepreneurs to follow their dreams. And this is exactly what I like about her, her ability to deliver practical advice to help you solve some real problems. So, without further ado, let's welcome Deb Dietz. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Ron. Great to see you today.
How
Welcome,
wonderful.
everyone, to our inaugural show. We're so excited to be here together from Futures Television. And we're also very excited about our topic today and our conversation with Chris Bogue. Chris is an expert in short video content creation. He's going to help us understand the what and the why of TikTok. And then we're going to follow that up with our Take Two show, which will focus more on the how to's, practical guidance on the platform. In fact, every other Thursday, our shows will be at 11 a.m. Central, and they're all about practical guidance. So, learning from real life practitioners like Chris with real world experience. So, welcome everyone to Ask Deb About Business.
Oh, wonderful. Well, let's say a few words about Chris. So, Chris is a very talented communicator, and he is an expert at creating video content that delivers. His video content is sure to drive revenue growth in your business. I am really sure you will love his improv based approach to content creation and sales. All righty. So let's welcome Chris to the show. Hi, Chris.
Hey, what's up, Ron? What's up, Deb?
Good to see you, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All righty. So let's get going. Deb, TikTok for business. What? So I'm a business owner. Why should I consider this social media platform?
Great question to start off our discussion with, Ram. I'm a believer that TikTok for business is a key strategy to drive brand awareness and generate revenue for your products and services. And in the digital economy, the world that we're living today, 80% of all business-to-business sales transactions are occurring in digital channels. And so I'm really excited to have Chris here with us to share why, if you're not on the TikTok platform yet, why you should be. So Chris, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here to share your wisdom with us. Tell us about yourself, how you came to launch your business, the work that you do with creating short video content. Tell us a little bit about you, your background, and your business.
Sure. Well, thanks again for having me. I started my own business kind of as a happy accident. I did not think this is what I was going to be doing with my life, but I was doing sales for about a decade, and I'd done comedy for a lot longer than that. So I did a lot of improv and sketch comedy all around Chicago. I studied at Chicago's Second City Theater. I had a weekly show for a couple years with my group out to Lydias. And I always did sales. And when COVID struck, I was in the middle of selling to college professors. So it was a very long-term sale. I was selling to these elite universities. And all of a sudden, I discovered that all this training I had as a performer translated really well on video. And it was very hard to get people to read cold emails. But if I showed up on video, I could get meetings really easily. And this is not a skill that business schools teach. They don't teach you how to make videos. They don't teach you how to get out there on TikTok. So I realized I was onto something powerful, and I started my own business. And now I coach people to do it. I coach people to get on video, either to create content or to make direct to prospect sales videos that are super short and super designed to drive business into the pipeline. And it's a heck of a lot of fun.
You know, I love that. And thank you for sharing that. It's interesting. I want to just let our audience know how I came across you, how I met you. And I happened to see one of your TikTok videos on LinkedIn. And it surprised me because it was the first TikTok video I saw. So I was, number one, it was a new experience for me. And then you were very engaging, very personable, very humorous. And so that resonated with me. And then your message resonated with me. So I started following you, attending your weekly LinkedIn Lives on Thursdays at 3:00, and really started paying attention. And I was just drawn to you and your content. And so it's interesting because I probably am one of your target customers, right? So I'm someone who is a business owner. And so as part of us getting to know each other, I reached out to say, hey, I'm really not very good about TikTok, and I understand that I need to be on the platform. I have a, good following on LinkedIn, but I'm not on TikTok. And I didn't really believe that my target customers were on TikTok. And then there was that kind of, I guess, disbelief that, my people aren't there, my prospects aren't there. And then so that was one part of our conversation. And the other part was I was really leery because I do strategic planning and online education for a living. Strategic planning can be a very dry topic. It's not humorous. And so watching you, I sort of had this expression or this understanding that you had to be humorous or funny. And as I started to follow you, continue to follow you, what I noticed is that some of your videos are humorous, right? Some of them are not. But there's just a way that you're doing them that was very captivating. And you were very effective at doing that. And then I even went to you and said, hey, is there a possibility that you could do these videos for me? And you said, nope, you have to do them yourself. You are your personal brand. I can coach you, guide you along the way, but that's something that you have to do. But I'm happy to help. So I just wanted to, share that with you and just say what a great experience it was to be able to find you, learn from you, and how you helped me kind of overcome a misbelief that I had that, my target customers, they are there. We'll talk about that in a minute. And that you don't have to be funny, funny to convey your message.
Yeah, I want to jump on something you said there, because you said that strategic planning isn't funny. And I disagree. I come from a style of training. In improv, they teach you go to the audience and you get a suggestion, and that's your idea generator, right? So if the audience yells strategic planning, you have to do a show about that. You don't get to go fishing for a funnier suggestion. If the audience yells wet cardboard, you got to do a show about wet cardboard, and it's got to be funny. And first people think, oh my God, how am I going to do that? That's so difficult. But then you just start asking questions about who. And I tell everybody who wants to get on TikTok, one, your goal is not to be viral. It's not to get millions of views, right? Your first goal is to show up as you. And the two TikTok pieces of content that any business can make is, this is who we are, this is who works here, right? Or this is the problem we solve, right? These are the people we help. You pick either of those two topics, you have an infinite number of places to go. You know, you show who works here, why is what we do different, what do we value, what are our priorities, you know, why is this group of people a group of people you should have in life? Or you flip that around. You just show up on TikTok or LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever your people are. Get on video. I have clients they do everything through Instagram. That's fine. Show up as you, solving the problem.
Right.
Anybody who's looking for that problem, anybody who's interested, anyone who's trying to figure out that problem on their own, they're going to see you and they're going to go, oh, I think she gets me. I think this person knows what I'm going through. And, you know, if you just focus on what's real, the comedy shows up, you know, and most people are funny when they're trying not to be funny.
Not to be. That's so funny you said that, because, you know, it's interesting. After our conversation, do you know what I did after that first conversation we had? I went to Google and I literally typed in Dilbert cartoons, Dilbert and strategic planning. And because you inspired, and I looked at some of those, and, you know, I thought, okay, I get it. I get his point, point taken. Just be yourself, and and get your message out there to the in front of the right people, and be authentic, right, and solve the problem.
And I am actually deliberately picking boring topics and making them hilarious. So today I've got a live stream. Carl Sean Watkins is my guest. He does a lot of work on vulnerability and leadership. And yeah, we made a sketch having some fun with the DEI world, you know, and having some fun about how leaders aren't willing to be vulnerable and how they tend to have very artificial conversations about diversity and race and insecurity. And we're going to be talking about a lot of topics that companies are afraid to talk about, because I want to show them that it's okay. If you come at it from a place that's real, right, the audience will be with you. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I had my guest, Lydia Allen. You know, she is a teacher and she talks about dyslexia. Right. You know, we had a conversation about accessibility and it was hilarious. The clips are so funny.
You know, it's funny you say that, because we're actually going to show some of those TikTok videos today. So we've got actually 4 that we're going to show today. 2 of them are, you know, what I would consider humorous. 2 are more on a serious topic, and includes one of Lydia's that you and Lydia did about dyslexia. So I'm excited about showing kind of, you know, 4 different ones, so that people can have an understanding of the approach and how you when it's appropriate to use humor, and maybe when it's appropriate to be more not so humorous, more serious. There's a topic in one of the videos you speak about the war in Ukraine. We're going to be showing that as well, so that everybody in our audience can see the differences. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Well, again, anything can be fun, anything can be funny, anything can be interesting. Thing you have to remember about video, whether it's on TikTok or LinkedIn, the most interesting thing is you. Yeah. You are a person, and if you're looking directly into the camera lens, it looks like you're looking straight into the person's eyes. And if you're talking about something that's real, your people, the people who understand you, the people you're trying to reach, the people you're trying to appeal to in your audience, that's very interesting. Right. You know, that you're looking at them, you're talking about the things they care about. It doesn't matter if your shot isn't 100% perfect, or if you stumble over some of the words, or, your hair's not perfect, or whatever. The moment they start thinking like, oh, wow, this person's reading my mind. You know, this is exactly the thing I'm worried about. This is exactly the thing I'm thinking about. All of a sudden you are relevant, you know?
Exactly. So you're portraying your authentic self, and that in and of itself is very relatable, and people are drawn to receive your message. So wanted to just let everybody know that we've got those videos that are coming up shortly. So we're going to talk now about why business professionals should use TikTok. So let's
So
talk
that is
about
it's
the
a good
why. Let's
question.
talk about the why, right? Why should business professionals be on the platform? My understanding, Chris, jump in here. There are 1 billion people on the platform, right? And so that is, and second only to Instagram. So, and it's growing exponentially. I think it's every month the user base grows by like 1.5 times. So it's a place to be. It's a place to be visible and get your brand out there, and your buyers are there. So that's something that I learned having a conversation with you, Chris. One of the first things you said to me was, hey, Deb, your customers are out there. And then I thought about that after our conversation. And, I'm someone that I do strategic planning work. So I'm paying attention to data and emerging trends, and the sheer numbers of entrepreneurs, as an example, that formed businesses, 2 million since January of last year. So these are people that are, maybe left their corporate job, started a business during the pandemic, yourself included, right?
Right.
And so now these are folks that are experts in their field and their industries, but they may not necessarily have a lot of experience in, business planning, right? So when we had this conversation, you were like, hey, Deb, those new entrepreneurs are on TikTok. So your customers, your prospects are there. So that was really that was like a defining moment for me when you and I had that conversation, because I could relate it to what's going on in the small to mid-sized business world. And people, of course, another trend, right, is, people leaving their 9-to-5 job and starting businesses. And so I thought, okay, so what I'm hearing is that this is probably a good time for me to, embark on TikTok. I have a better understanding of the platform and doing it myself, which was, I'm comfortable going live on LinkedIn. I don't know what it was about, fear of doing this on TikTok, because, I was live on LinkedIn. If I could do it there, if I could do it here, I could do it anywhere. Right.
Yeah. Each platform is a little different. And TikTok is so a little background. So I'll fill in your answer for the question you asked earlier, is why be on TikTok? Yeah. Yes, there's 1 billion people there, and that number is rapidly growing. What TikTok does that's so addictive is their algorithm is designed for people to go viral, even if they don't have a big following yet. So part of the battle with Facebook and Instagram and all these platforms is you have to build this massive following first, and then you go viral. On TikTok, what happens is when you make a video, the algorithm sends it to a test group of about 100 users, and it measures how well it performs there. And if it hits a certain metric, like a certain number of double watches, somebody watches the video twice, if you get enough people who do that, or if you get enough people who watch, it needs to be a higher number of people who watch it the whole way through, people who leave a comment. If it surpasses a certain threshold of activity, TikTok shoots it out to a much, 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 much larger audience. And this is why you get new users. It's very much designed for new users to go viral. So if you show up and you're making 3 to 7 videos a day, which I am not at this level right now. I'm doing lots of video. TikTok is just one of the platforms I'm on.
Right.
But if you're out there putting video out there every day, you'll probably go viral for something, because that's just how the platform is designed. And it's designed so any random person, if their video is compelling, can just get seen by a huge audience. And, it's probably not going to be like that forever. Anybody who's ever done marketing on Facebook or Instagram, I remember as a comedian. So at the time, I was using Facebook to sell live shows. I was putting on a weekly show. I had to sell tickets. I had to try to sell out the house every week. I remember the instant organic stopped working on Facebook, where all of a sudden before I was able to get 100 tickets sold. Now Facebook is giving me a notification saying, hey, if you pay $50, you could reach 45 people. You know, and their second they made a business decision and said, you know what, we're not going to let people get all this free recognition on the algorithm. They got to start paying for it.
There you go.
And you've seen that on Facebook, you've seen that on Instagram, you've seen that on everywhere. TikTok is still in that early phase yet, where it's like, yes, you can pay for ads there, but it's still the Wild West. It is still experimentation, and you know, it's kind of like vaudeville, frankly. I think a lot of the stuff I see on TikTok reminds me of silent films, because it's like an international talent show, and there's a lot of dance, there's a lot of singing, there's a lot of comedy, but it's also a lot of just people talking about what they know. And I always remind my clients that, you know, I'm a comedian by training. There are a lot of different types of performance, and teaching is a performance. You know, teachers are up there, whether it's in business or whether it's in education. When you're working a room, you're engaging with people, you're getting them in on the experience. And if that's the type of performance you're good at, then go on TikTok and start teaching people. Because any skill that you paid money to learn, someone would happily learn it from you for free.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. You know, what I'd like to do now is transition, and let's, some of you may be familiar with Jordan Belfort's Sell Me This Pen challenge from the Wolf of Wall Street. So right now we're going to watch Chris's TikTok video, Sell Me This Pen. And this is the video that launched Chris's business, right? It's also the video that caught my attention, that drew me to Chris. And so let's take a look at that.
Yeah. Sell me this pen right here. You think you could sell anything? Show me how it's done. Sell you this pen, huh? Why don't you do me a favor? Write your name down on this Post-it for me. It. You've seen The Wolf of Wall Street already. Boss, can I ask you a question? When was the last time you bought a pen? No idea. Well, where'd you get these two from?
My assistant buys them in bulk, Bogue. Where are you going with this?
Respectfully, I can't help but notice you already own two of the same pen, which leads me to wonder, what were you hoping to get out of talking with me today?
You're out of line, Bogue.
No, you're out of line. This whole thought experiment is out of line. I would never sell you a pen that I wouldn't use myself. Ever see one of these babies?
Ooh, Mr. Fancy Pen.
Pilot V5, the only pen I use. Do me a favor. Write your name down on a Post-it for me. Ooh, $1.
It's a little steep.
The price is the price, $1. Take it or leave it.
All right, you got a deal. You're a hell of a salesman, Bogue. But I always wish you were just a little bit better.
Thanks for the feedback, boss.
So Chris, tell us about the impact that video had on your business.
Sure. So that was huge. That was the first time anything just ever blew up, you know, and that's the classic. If you ever hear about going viral, it's like all of a sudden, every time you open your phone, you've got like 99 new likes and comments, and you're like, oh man. It was one of those things where it's like, and I use that character all the time now. That boss character always comes back. It's because, wait, somebody said something. Sorry, I was reading one of the comments about. So anyway, yeah, the TikTok thing. I did that boss character because I needed to have a boss. You know, I saw that thought experiment, and I don't even like the sell me this pen thing, Deb. I do not think that's a question that any like hiring manager should ask. And I was going to do a video about it where I just explained to the audience, okay, this is how you should handle it if anybody ever asks you to sell them a pen. And then I thought, well, why don't I just show them? You know, why don't I just show them in real time using my sales skills? Why don't I discover my own solution? And then I realized, like, okay, well, I need someone to play my boss then, and it's just me. So I'm just going to cut back and forth, and it's going to be me, you know, a much angrier, much more demanding version of me. And then I have to sell it to myself. And then it blew up. And I did not intend to do sketch comedy. But like people started telling me, we want more of this. We love this, you know? And I realized, oh, maybe those 15 years of sketch comedy, maybe that was valuable. Maybe I should incorporate that more into the business. And, I tell people, the more you put content out there, the more feedback you need to ask for. And just pay attention to what lands, because if your audience thinks it's valuable, then just give them more of that, and this is the story of everyone I meet that gets big on TikTok, is they just start doing a lot of stuff, and then something starts taking off and they're just like, all right, well, I found it. This is what my audience wants. How do I give them more of this?
There you go. It just, give them more of how they reacted to, right? What they reacted to. So
and that's actually a great segue. So let's talk a little bit about audience acquisition. So Deb, can you share some pointers or some thoughts on what is the best way to grow your TikTok audience?
Well, for me, I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Make friends. Make friends. This is the same thing on LinkedIn too. Look at the people whose audience that you want and ask yourself what they're doing. And I always tell anybody making content, I don't care if it's on LinkedIn or TikTok or YouTube or wherever. I don't care how rich they are. I don't care if their job title is CEO. If they are putting content out there, they want the same engagement that you want. They want likes, they want comments, they want shares, they want their name tagged when someone asks who's an amazing content creator. Go give them the engagement that you want. And one, you're going to start showing up in their newsfeed. They're going to feel more of an obligation to click the like button. And this was huge for me as I was launching my brand. We can go into this more if you want. I just quit my job all of a sudden. I didn't even give a 2 weeks notice. I realized that I needed to start doing this now.
Yep.
And that meant I couldn't rely on my old bosses to open doors for me. And what I did was I looked out and I saw these companies like HubSpot, like Vidyard. These are big companies and they pay people to go do content marketing on TikTok and LinkedIn. So I found the funny people and I started interacting with their stuff. Mm-hmm. And, if they made a funny video, I would send them a message being like, good job, this is hilarious. And I became friends with them. I learned a lot about what they were doing. I was able to adapt some of the things they were doing to what my plan was. And when the audience was scrolling through their feed, they would see, oh, well, Chris Bogue, he works with companies like Vidyard. He works with companies like HubSpot, and all of a sudden I became a part of their ecosystem. Right. And it gave me credibility, and it's I have this style where it's like improv is not about being the star. It's about being a support player. Right. And if you go find the people who are talking about the things you're talking about, they have the style that you like. They care about the things you care about. They have the audience that you want. If you show up and support them, the content just kind of writes itself.
What about cross promoting? Because what you did, TikTok or a video on TikTok, you cross promoted it. You put it on LinkedIn, which is how I saw it, right? So now people, when you do that, you've got people, your network on LinkedIn that will then follow you right on TikTok. So what are you doing this? TikTok to LinkedIn, TikTok to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So you're leveraging basically one video cross-platform, right?
And sometimes I'll upload that to Vidyard, which is my video platform that I'm a corporate partner of theirs. But that's a program that lets you put video directly into Gmail and LinkedIn. So I will sometimes just strategically send high-performing content or not high-performing content, frankly. Sometimes you're doing something that's a little too niche or a little too, esoteric, or for some reason it is well constructed, but it's just not designed to get 1 million views. If I make something that's relevant to my audience, I make sure they see it. And I always tell people, like, don't let good content go to waste. Even if somebody doesn't, even if it doesn't go viral, if you get 5 comments and one of those turns into a client, that's success.
Exactly. So your content on TikTok, even if it's not, even if it's just, average content, I'll just say that, putting it on a different platform can have completely different impact, right? So it doesn't have to be, high quality. It could be, something you do on TikTok, but you move it over to the other platforms. I mean, so to me, that is a great way to, leverage your brand, right? Just leverage every platform that you can. Interesting. You talk about Vidyard. After our conversation, I actually started using Vidyard myself. So, I want to thank you for that, because I didn't know about that either until, you shared that with me. So what I'd like to do now, I want to kind of transition a little bit to another one of the videos. And another thing that I find very interesting about the work that you do is your characters, right? So, you've got, you, and then there was the boss, in the Sell Me the Pen video. And then you have another character, Vague Man. And so I wanted to show Vague Man's video about Ukraine. And for our audience, I wanted you to see this, because this really shows a serious, Chris is discussing a serious topic, the war in Ukraine, right? And so, to me, your empathy came through, your humility came through, but then at the very end of it, you had something lighter. And I want to talk about that on the other side. So let's take a look at Vague Man about Ukraine.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your old pal Vagueman with a little bit of advice for all you rockstar content creators who want to figure out what the heck you're going to say about Ukraine. My suggestion is maybe you don't need to say anything at all, especially if you're a LinkedIn influencer like good old Vagueman and nobody has asked you for your opinion. There's a reason for that. It's probably because you're not an authority, and maybe you only started reading about Ukraine very recently. In that case, you could just do what I do and listen to people who know more than you. You can follow the link in this video description to donate money to Doctors Without Borders and make sure that the people in Ukraine who need medical help get it. Or you can listen to journalists who are on the ground in Ukraine trying to share their stories and boost their signal. But maybe it's even more complex than that. Maybe you live in Russia and you're watching what your country's saying and you're watching news trickle in and you're thinking, I don't know what I think about this. That's fine. That's fine. And if this doesn't describe you and you do know what you want to say, you can go out there and say it, even if that's just changing your profile picture. But I'm telling you, if you're watching TV and you're seeing atrocities happen and you can't find the words, that is normal. It is hard to explain what is happening right now. And if you don't feel like posting about it for a day or 2 days or a week, you can still mourn those lives when you're ready. You can mourn those lives a year from now when the media has moved on to something else. And as for Vagueman, I think if it's okay with you, I'm just going to try to keep it vague. That's what my audience looks to me for. There's no time to explain. Vagueman, I need you in the kitchen right now. My boss is about to be here any minute, and you need to make a souffle. That's him! Here we go again.
Wow, that was a great video. And so I wanted to ask you about that. So we're talking about Ukraine, serious topic, using it as an opportunity for fundraising, donations to Doctors, Without Borders. And then you ended it, about the souffle. So what was the thinking behind that?
So again, this is one of those things where it's like satire is a tricky thing. And I don't recommend if you're not an expert on Ukraine, like I'm not an expert on Ukraine, right? But Russia invaded Ukraine and it was horrifying. And, you have to realize your limitations as a performer. And that's why I have this whole style that's about going out there as yourself and talking about what you know. But yeah, I'm a LinkedIn creator and I understand LinkedIn creators. And I just kept seeing these posts about them being like, what about my LinkedIn content? Am I allowed to talk about Ukraine? What if I don't talk about Ukraine? And they were, I just saw a lot of hand wringing over like, what if I say the wrong thing on Ukraine? And I kind of needed to be like, gang, you're a LinkedIn influencer. They're not looking to you for knowledge on Ukraine.
Right.
There are people who are dying in Ukraine right now who are trying to get heard. So if you have a platform, you can just give them money, or you can just give them attention, or you can just call attention to the people that are doing the work that you want to support.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that Vagueman, it's this character I have who just speaks in these vague corporate nothings.
Right.
And yeah, it's actually a way to not only satirize my view of corporate America, but also satirize myself, because I am not a Ukrainian expert. And what I do looks pretty silly when you compare it to the seriousness of that situation. But I need to run my business, otherwise I can't pay my bills, So again, I started with what's real. And, I stayed true to my emotions. I didn't want to make light of the situation, but I did want to make light of my situation and the situation that us LinkedIn content creators were in, where we're quite fortunate. If that's the only problem we have to worry about, right? Is like, what if my LinkedIn content suffers for a couple weeks? We'll live.
Exactly. Wow. So, well, thank you for that. Because I wanted to kind of know the thinking behind doing that. So thank you for sharing that. Let's talk. You mentioned earlier about, don't focus on, doing videos that are going, everybody wants them to go viral, of course, but don't focus on that. Don't focus on how many people are following. It's not about the quantity, right? It's really about the quality, right?
Yeah, well, it's a lot easier to do quantity when you've got your voice down, and I've been making LinkedIn and TikTok content for about a year now. And I was not super, I set a goal when I started. I was like, I got to do 3 a week. I think 3 a week is a pretty good goal to start with. And you know what? Sometimes I fell short of that. And sometimes there are weeks where I got 4 out. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But the important thing was that I was saying things that were important to me. And I actually disagree with a lot of coaches and a lot of TikTok gurus out there who will tell you, they're like, oh, you know what? When I first started, it was so bad. The videos were so awful. And I don't think my first videos were awful. Maybe they weren't as fancy. Maybe the lighting and the coloring and the editing wasn't as sharp. Because there was no editing or color correction. It was just me talking into my phone.
Right.
But it was me talking about things that were important to me. And it was me talking about things I understood because of my career and my life and my accomplishments. And I stand by the writing in those videos is good.
Yeah.
I still worked hard on it. It still meant something to me.
Of course.
And just because the post didn't go viral does not mean it was bad. And some of the stuff that I have on LinkedIn or TikTok that did not get a huge viral reaction did get a couple DMs from people who stopped and said, you know what? I have had this stuck in my head all day. Thank you for saying this. Yeah. I needed to hear this.
There you go.
And that is a real connection. And that I always tell anybody, don't delete your LinkedIn posts that don't perform well. I don't care if it only got 3 likes on it. Because what happens is sometimes 2 weeks from now, somebody clicks the heart button. That's a fan.
Yeah.
That's a fan. They got what you were going for. Right. Thank them and ask them, hey, was there something in there that stuck with you? And try it again. Repackage it a little bit. Maybe you need to do it in a form that's a little bit more concise or a little bit more entertaining. But somebody got what you were going for. And that's important.
I love that, asking for feedback, right? Because you want the feedback in order to make it better the next time. And so, be open to that. So I think that's a great practice, is to make sure that you're doing that. Let's talk a little bit about, funnel strategies. And I want to talk, because there are going to be people, as an example, you did your TikTok video, Sell Me the Pen, and you didn't know me and I didn't know you. So, I'm at the, I'm just becoming aware of you, right? So help me understand, the process or the funnel strategy to generate awareness, to you, and then ultimately get down the sequencing or the funnel to where people are actually engaging you? What do you find has worked for you?
So a lot of sales leaders freak out because they see me making all these videos and they're like, oh heavens, we can't do that. We got to make 90 million phone calls today.
Oh, yeah.
And I tell them, you can still make phone calls. You can still make emails. The difference between my sales funnel and a traditional sales funnel is a traditional sales funnel asks their reps to go out, and the very first communication they send to a prospect is asking for business. They go, hey, you don't know me. Do you want to go to a business meeting with me and maybe buy my stuff? I still have that step in my pipeline, but I add 1 or 2 steps prior to that. And what I do is I make sure that my prospects see a piece of content that is going to be relevant to them.
Right.
And before that, I have one more step, which is I notice them on their terms. And maybe that's on TikTok. Maybe that's on LinkedIn. I'll reach out and I'll be like, hey, that was a funny video, or that was a well-written thing. Thank you for pointing that out. I have one step where I notice them, and then I have one step where I make sure they notice me. I show up where they are. I make sure they see a piece of content that is not only engaging, but demonstrates that I understand something about their world.
There you go. That you understand.
And then I ask for the business. Then I get on video. Usually it's Vidyard. I make a video that is, I try to make it no longer than 60 seconds. 45 is really the sweet spot I found. Okay. But I send them a Vidyard that is mostly about them. And I say, hey, I've been watching you. I know these are your values. I know these are your goals that you're working on. I'd like to talk to you about coaching, because here's what I specialize in, and I think we might be able to help each other out. And then I make it very easy for them to book a time with me.
Yeah, exactly. So you make the process very easy to transact. So thank you for sharing that. I was just trying to understand how you're moving people along from, not knowing them, before, to actually, clicking the link on your calendar, right? And scheduling time.
I have 2 techniques that salespeople don't use. I've never heard anybody use. These are 2 very instrumental techniques to me. There's one called the no ask, and there's one called the ask me. Oh. The no ask is when I send someone a piece of content and I just say, hey, Deb, I think you might enjoy this. Check it out if you're interested. And I just leave it there. And this is very strategic. I send this message personally, but it's because I know something in this video is going to speak to them. And I watch to see who reacts, because some people ignore it, and that's fine. I didn't say, hey, watch this and give me 10 pieces of feedback and book a calendar time with me. I said, hey, watch this. I think you'll get a laugh out of it.
See.
And some percentage of people is going to watch it and send back saying, this was hilarious. Thank you. And I take note. Okay, that person found value in what I'm doing. The other thing I do is the ask me. So what this is I will take a piece of information that is technically public, right? I'll publish a new podcast episode, and I'll make a status out there, and I'll be like, hey, the new podcast is ready. DM me a thumbs up if you'd like a link to it. Now, this person could go find it on their own, but if they just shoot me a DM with a link, I just respond with a link to the episode, and I take note and say, you know what? That person took the extra step of requesting my content. And if I'm going to go make a list of targets of who I'm going to go ask for business, and I've got a list of people, and these are the people who interact with my content, these are the people who've asked me for content, these are the people who find value in what I'm doing, and they match my ICP, they're in the funnel. I'm going to ask them, I'm going to follow up, and now it is just like any other sales process.
I love it. It's like just a great lead generation.
And if the answer is a no, I am fine with that. Right. I say, you know what? Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for supporting my content. And I treat them exactly the same. I still comment on their stuff. I still support them. I still tell everybody that they're awesome. And sometimes people come around in a few months, and they come back.
There you go.
But I have found in sales, And again, sales leaders don't believe me because they're playing a volume game where it's like, how aggressively can you send cold messages out to strangers? But I tell sales leaders, you cannot calculate the value of a good first impression. And the difference between someone saying, wow, this was really funny, thank you for sending this to me, versus do not call this, unsubscribe, do not contact me anymore. The difference between having that first reaction instead of that second, I can't even tell you, Deb. I can't even tell you.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I also, it's really speaking to the people in their language, understanding your ideal customer, right? And what moves them and drives them. And I wanted to transition now and show another one of your videos. And this one is with Lydia. Lydia Allen is a dyslexia champion. She provides children with the tools that they need to learn how to read. And again, another video that is riveting, and let's take a look at that video.
How many views do your TikToks usually get?
1.4 million.
Lydia, what's wrong with my captions?
Dyslexia is a difference in neurological wiring of the brain. You feel awkward and uncomfortable every time you go out to dinner with a friend's family. You're worried about the menu.
How TikTok's algorithm works, when you make a piece of content, it sends it to a small group first. And if it overperforms there, they shoot it out to a much larger crowd.
I had to turn off TikTok notifications. Every time I opened it, every 2-3 minutes, it was like 99 plus notifications. I don't want anyone to feel the way that I felt. I don't want any parents to feel the way my parents felt.
And teachers, you know how much your job sucks, right? Wouldn't you much rather have Lydia?
People will be like, you're so great at pauses. And I'm like, joke's on you. I lost my words.
I love that. I lost my words, bless her heart. That was just another great example of a very impactful video. Why do you think it resonated so greatly?
Well, one, because everyone can relate to not being heard. That's just, human beings, life is a struggle to be understood. And, Lydia's message is so attractive because, and I do a lot of stuff about accessibility, right? So one of the things that makes me different from other content creators, I write my own captions. Because it actually gives me extra storytelling techniques, right? You see in that video, there's this moment where my captions are all jumbled up. And I'm like, Lydia, I wrote those captions because Lydia has an exercise that simulates what it's like trying to read as a dyslexic person. And I took it, it was very difficult. I tried to read a poem, and I thought it was an excerpt from a science book. Because it's very hard, and sometimes words, letters look like other letters. But accessibility is one of this thing where there's a lot of guilt out there. And, a lot of companies, there are accessibility experts who charge a lot of money to make websites more accessible. And, business leaders are afraid of it. And, they just think of it as like, okay, well, how many people are really dyslexic? How many people are really deaf? It's probably not that big of a percentage of our audience. And I found that this is just a giant untapped audience that nobody is playing to, So if you show up with captions, you are in the top echelon of content creators. And all these people who are deaf or hard of hearing or for some reason without sound, all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I can actually watch this video. And they'll listen to you. So Lydia is not an actress. She's not a comedian. She's not a performer. She is a teacher. Yeah. And she's a teacher who grew up with all her teachers thinking she's stupid. Yeah. They thought she was stupid. They thought she couldn't read. They thought she was lazy. And if you watch the interview, she is brilliant. She is a brilliant teacher. She's a brilliant communicator. And what she did was she was like, you know what? I'm just going to start talking straight to dyslexic people, dyslexic students, parents who have dyslexic children, educators who have dyslexic students, and all of a sudden she's getting millions of views, and it's because it's real. And if all of a sudden all these people who've never been spoken to, the content creators, the marketers, have just ignored them, if you show up and start talking to them directly, they will listen.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Thank you. So being real, being authentic, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there, very, very important tips. What other recommendations do you have for people to grow their audiences? One of the things I know, it takes time to do this, right? It doesn't happen overnight, or maybe it does. I don't know the time frame of Lydia's success, but help us understand the timing of you do something like this, and when you go viral like she did, is that what's the time frame for that?
Yeah, I mean, some people go viral right away. Some
Do
people it takes months. Some people it takes years. The important thing that I focus on is like, am I proud of this? Am I just doing random stuff to get attention? Or if my prospect shows up and they don't look at the number of likes and shares and comments, if they only focus on the message, am I okay with that? Is this what I want them to see? And if the answer is yes, you can't go wrong.
There you go.
You just can't. And if you are putting your stuff out there and just watching who it resonates with, you will get a lot of clues about the direction you should move in. And I coach my client. Well, spoiler alert, hire me as a coach if you want to get started, because I'll help you get started. That is the biggest thing I find. People, they don't know how to get started. They don't have a structure for creativity. So that's what I coach.
Right.
But I when I do coach people, I instruct them to, you don't have prospects and customers anymore. You have an audience who can tune in at any moment. So your job is to make sure that whenever they tune into the show, they are getting something that is worthwhile. And I coach my clients to break their audiences down into sub audiences, So for me, what that looks like is, okay, I'm a sales guy. Some percentage of my audience are just salespeople who want to hit their quota. They want to stay on top of the trends. They probably like Corporate Bro. Corporate Bro is a humor, is a brand on LinkedIn. He's a funny comedian. He does sales-based sketch comedy. Anybody who likes Corporate Bro might like my stuff, because I have a character that's a sales guy who does irreverent comedy. So
Right.
The salespeople, that is one of my audiences. Now, I also have another audience that hates sales. They do not like that. They do not like corporate America. They are writers. They are introverts. They are shy people. I have a lot of shy people who like the show. So I got to give something to them too, right? And so I'll do things about vulnerability. I'll do things about the writing process. I'll have content about how you can speak up and get noticed. That's what my shy people go to me for. And then I have the accessibility people. I have deaf people. I have dyslexic people. I have people who want me to talk about these things because it's important to them. And the more you make content, the more, now it's not a question of, oh, I got to think of the most amazing thing ever. Now it's a question, you know what? I haven't done anything for the shy people in a little bit. Why don't I come up with something they would like? What did they like the last time? And again, the more you're making stuff, the more you're asking for feedback, the more you're connecting with other content creators. And that's an easy connection request. If you see someone, and like Deb, if you're looking at CEOs and you're trying to help solopreneurs, if you see another woman out there who is talking about your issues, she is serving your audience, go out there and support her and be like, you are awesome. I love your content. Let's connect.
Yeah.
They love that kind of engagement. And I find most of the time people who are successful at a level like that, they gladly share knowledge. They're happy to share DMs with you. They are happy to talk about what's working with them. And the closer you get with them, the more you're going to understand their audience, the more it's going to teach you about your own audience.
Absolutely. And I love that, the terminology I use in the strategic planning world is, segmentation, right? So you're talking, niche segment, your customer base or your prospect base, align the right, value, right? So the value is going to be different depending upon, what customer profile you're going after. The messaging is different. What they will, how they engage will be different. So really it's, that's what you're talking about here is, and as part of the planning process, when you're planning out your, promotional strategy, you really need to be doing this for those specific audience types. Ideal customers, they don't all look alike, right? So they value different things, and the way you provide that value and message about that value will be specific to them. So, and I love that your characters, that you've created, do just that. So you've got characters that have that voice, that have that message, that understand the uniqueness of that particular prospect versus someone else. So I think that's actually really brilliant.
That's another thing, though, that helps with the sales pipeline, is when people surprise you because they start showing up in audience buckets that you didn't expect.
There you go.
So I will send content out. I will ask for feedback. And sometimes I'll have someone pegged as a non-sales person. I'm like, you know what? I knew this person. I know she was a musician. I know she's a little bit more soft-hearted than a salesperson, maybe a little bit more vulnerable. But here she is, and she's liking all of my sales content, and she's interacting with all my sales content. And then you get into a conversation with her, and you realize, oh, she just launched a business, and this is her first time doing it, and she's very good at what she does, but she doesn't have a sales strategy.
There you go.
That is an easy intro to be like, hey, maybe we should have a conversation. Maybe I might be able to help your business. But it's like, again, I thought I had her pegged down. I'm like, oh, this is a shy person who doesn't want to learn about sales. She probably just wants to learn about the comedy. And then I'll just take a look at the audience and realize, oh, no. She is very interested in anytime I talk about closing a deal or prospecting or any of these sales things. And then, you get a little curious. You reach out and be like, hey, thanks for clicking the like button. Was there anything that stuck out? And then they tell you, oh, yeah, you know what? My husband and I, we just launched a business. We're trying to figure out the sales thing. And that is easy. But again, it only feels easy because a few months ago, I noticed her content and I connected with her and I gave her valuable content. And I sat down and I watched her reaction before I started pitching her. Because if the moment I sent a connection request, I was like, hey, did you know that video increases your connections by 60%? Do you want to do this tomorrow or Monday? She's probably going to go, no, thanks. No, thank you. And now anytime I reach out, she's going to be protected because maybe she's afraid I'm going to talk her into doing something she doesn't want to do.
There you go. And I love that, you're connecting. It's like another touch point, right? So you're going, you're connecting, you're commenting, you're reaching out, you're having a conversation here online, building a relationship, and so I love that as kind of a best practice, right? Is you're going to have people that are going to like your post, your video, and then comment, and then start to have a little bit of a conversation. You learn more about them and what's important to them, which then just turns around into how you can position, your value appropriately. And that process takes time. You're not just going to go right out and boom, here's the gimme, right? The sale.
Yeah.
Which I love that character as well that you have.
Oh yeah. No, I demand my audience buys my stuff in the middle of every episode. Speaking of which, I wish I could talk to you all day, Deb. I actually do have a meeting coming up in 10 minutes and I got to make sure that I'm hitting there. So I got time for one quick question.
Sure.
And then I got to get running.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to, wrap it up and just say, I think a lot of the things that we talked about today were, talked about niches, serving your niche, right? So making sure you have an understanding of your target audience, and doing the research. So that's really, really important too. And then just a couple things about, batching videos versus going live on the platform.
Oh, yeah.
What are the thoughts there?
Yeah, batch your videos. So there's two ways you can do this. One, if you want to do live stream, I do coach my clients on live stream strategy because, boy, you put up so much effort into putting up a live episode. You book the guest, you research the topic, you conduct the interview. If you have no time, you can hire someone. There are companies, there are individuals who will slice that up and turn that into content for you.
Okay.
But it's better if you're doing your stuff straight to camera for TikTok. And I actually recommend, this is an exercise you can do. Open up a Word document, put 10 bullet points in there, come up with 10 different questions you answer on a regular basis.
Okay.
Then pull your phone out and talk straight into the lens and do it all on one video file. Pick 5 of them and just film 5 of them all at the same time. And if you have a Mac, you can use a program like iMovie. If you want a free program for your phone, write this down, CapCut. It is a free editing program. It is very advanced. It is made by TikTok. So it has advanced editing techniques in there that are very popular on TikTok. Record 5 little 30-second videos all at one time, chop them up, release them at the same time every week. See what happens. But that is 5 weeks worth of content.
5 weeks worth of content. I love it. Chris, I wanted to thank you so much for your great insights here on the platform. Before you leave us today, tell everyone how they can get a hold of you, how they can find you.
Yes. So the best way to find me is to go on LinkedIn and ring my bell. So I'm a content creator. I create content every single day. Just Chris Bogue, Bogue. You can find me there. You can find me at my website, christopherbogue.com, for coaching information. If you'd like one-on-one coaching, or if you'd like me to train your team to get on video for sales. And you can also find me on TikTok. I'm at Chris Sells His Soul. You can find my TikToks there, and you can catch me live every Thursday at 3 p.m. So I have a live episode today with Carl Sean Watkins about vulnerability, about DEI, about how vulnerability holds us back, but also why it is an incredibly potent tool for leaders. So you can come check me out at 3 p.m. or catch all my old episodes on any platform, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. Search for Chris Sells His Soul, and you can find all my old episodes.
Wonderful.
Oh, wonderful. So thank you so very much, Chris, for being here with us today. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming shows. Oh,
excellent. Right. Take care, everybody.
Take care, Chris.
Okay. So on May 5th at 11 a.m. Central, our guest is Gigi Gershpai, discussing his work, pioneering the next frontier of LinkedIn. On May 19th at 11 a.m. Central, our guest is Edie Rader, discussing her work, transforming toxic cultures into caring communities, the lost art of empathy. Well, it has been a wonderful time today. So it's time for us to thank you again, folks, for being here with Deb, Chris, and I. Remember, if you're watching this show on Futures Television, as a podcast or as a recorded event in one of our social media platforms, you too can be a part of the conversation. So watch for the links on this video so you can continue the conversation on our YouTube channel. And I hope to see you again on May 5th for another episode of Ask Deb about business. And I'm going to leave you with our institutional message. Thank you.